Hi, I'm your State Representative Dan Griffey, representing the great people of the 35th Legislative District. So the question is, what's the latest on vehicle pursuits, law enforcement vehicle pursuits? Sadly, it looks like the majority party wants to turn it into a study. We have some significant pushback from senators and some House members that still think that criminals should not be pursued. We know that they're taking advantage of all of us. We know that since the bill passed, more and more people that have nefarious activities are running from law enforcement. And the disappointing thing there is law enforcement tells us that about 18% of their stops, they find people that are under the influence. Last year, 745 people died on our highways, which was the largest number of highway fatalities in Washington State since 1990. That number had been going backwards for a long time. It is very much a travesty that the policy in Washington State are that if you commit a crime, you get in your car and you run, you can pretty much get away with it scot-free. I stand completely against that. I want to see vehicular pursuits come back. I would like to see those that harm society the most be held accountable. And a lot of times when you steal a car, when you steal the registration for that car, or you steal the license plate for that car, it's pretty tough for our law enforcement to have enough evidence to get a hold of you or find that person. It is pretty tragic that we may once again study this and wait till 2024 or 2025 before we have comprehensive solution. We shouldn't embolden criminals. We shouldn't give them a get out of the jail free card. And we really should say that it is time that when the lights turn on behind you, pulling over is the best thing to do, and that people that engage in criminal activities should know that law enforcement's coming after them for all of our sake. The Supreme Court in the Blake decision pretty much made possession of all drugs and drug paraphernalia legal in Washington State. It's problematic because we've had a new drug that has absolutely infiltrated our state and is actually getting into our kids right now, which is fentanyl. Now's not the time to back down. Now is the time to take bold action. Possession of drugs like fentanyl and cocaine and those harder core drugs that actually affect our children the most, our young people or people that are dealing with the most pressures in life. We need to do something about it, seriously. I'm urging this legislature to take a stand now and actually pass a fix to what the Supreme Court gave us, the Blake decision. And we're coming down the wire, and it doesn't look like we're going to get the fix that we would like to have. So I will continue to work on that, but sad to say is we're not making as much progress on the Blake fix as we should. We have one option, which I didn't support, and I was on a committee that studied what we were going to do or contemplated what we would do, the SURSAC committee. One was to fully legalize all drugs in Washington State and set purity standards. I voted no emphatically on that. I don't believe that the state of Washington legalizing drugs fully, setting purity standards is the right look for our young people and those that are most vulnerable in our society. There is no amount of some of those drugs they're talking about that we can set a purity standard on. There's no amount of fentanyl that we can say is a safe amount to take. Conversely, we could pass a bill calling it a misdemeanor and our court systems would actually just ignore it. I think it should remain a felony, and I think with that felony possession, you would enter into an agreement with the courts where you get better. You go into drug treatment, and once you complete the drug treatment and you're better, you come out with no stigma against you, and the felony is erased away. I think that's the best solution for all of Washingtonians, for our children, and for the most vulnerable in our society. The question was, what do we do about stalking and those that are terrorized by predatory stalkers? I signed on to a bill with Representative Lauren Davis. I'm the number 3 sponsor that takes a very serious look at what we're going to do. It is very victim-centric. Right now, the laws in Washington State say you have to have an attorney and all kinds of stuff. Well, this bill would very comprehensively change how the court system and the state of Washington treats those that are victims of stalking. It sets up safety security perimeters, notification perimeters. It lowers the paperwork necessary for one to enter into these extreme risk protection orders. Sets up a new test. That is the lethality test. So there's psychological tests that we can, that our psychologists, sociologists, and psychiatrists can administer that deals with the propensity of the abuser or the stalker to actually commit murder. That, I think, is the best thing that we did with this bill. If this bill passes, we set up that test, and we can then categorize the level at which the stalker is and place them in the right level, and then put the proper amount of safety and security measures for the survivor, so the survivor can then build their life and be free from the torture of the people that stalk them. I'm happy to sign onto that bill, as I have always been happy to sign onto bills that elevate those who have the weakest voices in Washington to be the loudest. The next question was, what's the latest on the airport? Well, still 99.999% positive that when the CAT Committee's report comes out, there will be no Thurston County, or the 2 Pierce County sites will not be on the list. I repeat, they will not be on the list. And the committee is going to have to start over from ground zero, and they're not going to be able to look at beautiful places like rural Thurston County again. Again, I am so happy to announce, I believe, at least 99.999% sure that we have been victorious in this, and there will be no international airport in Thurston County. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate all of you.